Dharma, everyone. It's wonderful to be back teaching my favorite scripture, the Gita. And I hope that you utilize your time well and were able to get into the beautiful teachings of Atma, the self. And for those of you who are new, don't worry, because each verse of the Gita is like nectar. And wherever you begin is a good place. And then you can always go back and re-listen and contemplate. We call Lord Krishna Jagat Guru, or the Guru of the world, because every Guru has a Guru. So in our tradition, we don't take pride in being original. We take pride in being clones. Because the original wisdom is being revealed by the original Guru, who is, in this case, Lord Krishna. And when something is perfect, we don't want to put our small buddhi, our small mind, and try to reinvent it. So this is the beauty of the Vedic tradition. Be it Ayurveda, be it yoga, be it Vedanta, these are not spiritual fields which are trying to find the truth. They are not making hypothetical claims. They are found. They are in their holism together. And today, when I lead you from verse 23 to 30, hopefully, you shall find how compassionate is the Jagat Guru, Lord Krishna, because I think on verse 26, he will change from giving a spiritual point of view to a more materialistic arguments for the hero Arjuna, for the prince Arjuna, who was in a state of depression. This Arjuna is a prince. He has to go to a righteous war. He had planned for 14 years to go to the war. He had tried every potential to peacefully resolve the situation. But when all peaceful options were thwarted by the opposite side, and on top of that, cruelty was committed against the prince and his family and his wife, it was time to set the record straight. Sometimes we have to, and I have taught about that in previous classes, that there are 4 ways of approaching a difficult condition. And in the final one, we have to sometimes do things. We have to actually give back a resounding whack.
Oh.
Resounding whack. Why? I'll tell you why. See, all religions, except Hinduism, there's only one religion which thinks differently. I may be wrong because I haven't studied all the religions. So please forgive me. I'm not speaking like an expert. And I'm not trying to say something is good or bad. I'm just trying to point a difference. From my limited knowledge of other religions, because there are many and I only know few things, death is the end of you. You end there, right? Am I correct? With death, you end. And then you go permanently to heaven or to hell. So it's the end. In Hinduism, which is the root of Veda, it's not the end. You continue on to another journey. You go from death into the house of Ishvara, into a hidden house, and you change clothes because he has a million costumes, and you come out again. And each costume and each lifetime has only that duration that you need. So it's called a cosmic theater. And actually, as we keep studying, we realize there is no Ishvara. It's only Ishvara, one being, taking on different forms and taking on a 30-second life, taking on a 30-year life, taking on a 3-day life, wearing different costumes, and it's all a leela. It's a cosmic theater going on. So what happens is that if death is not your end, then if you get a whack, as in somebody says, enough, no more injustice, I'll give it back to you by going to war with you, in this case, the person gets karmic retribution. They get pain. And because of that, when his enemy Duryodhana died, he actually had a potential to change his whole personality in the next life. So sometimes if we don't, not from an injustice perspective, but from the right perspective, if we don't say no, we are actually letting a person continue in their delusion. And then they might get away with it. For example, Arjuna could have escaped to the forest because he was having cold feet going to the war. And his evil cousin Duryodhana could have ruled till he needed to and accumulated more and more negative karma. So in a way, when we show each other the light, we should show a whole light, not just the white light. We can show sometimes our commitment is to truth. Our commitment is not to a veneer. And sometimes that's really important. You know, I'll give an example. Like if I don't give input to my student, you know, I sometimes feel like as a teacher, you know, the teacher's role is to put up with the students, not put up with, that's the package. You know, you're the teacher and the student comes not as a colleague, the student comes as a person who's ignorant, who's sleepwalking, who's unconscious. So as a teacher, I have to pat the back when they are taking the right course. And then in commitment to truth, I also have to say, I have to give them another kind of jolt at times to say, where are you heading? You are in a delusory, self-created, sorrowful state. Get out of it, snap out of it, because you have freedom to be there forever and ever if you want. But, you know, I'm not going to join you there. You have to come out and meet me here. So when we do these things, it may feel like it's harsh, but it's actually the ultimate kindness. Even Buddha has a beautiful comment that I just discovered, and I'm writing in my book around how Buddha says, if you find a single human being who honestly, without an agenda, critiques you and your delusion, then you're a very lucky person, because you could be in that delusion forever. And, you know, most people, they agree about our delusions and they support us, and there are networks and support groups for that. I'm sure dedicated Facebook pages also for that. But a teacher or a well-meaning friend or soul or a Lord Krishna will tell Arjuna, the prince, that you must go to war, not for you, but for truth. It was actually the ultimate act of compassion to go to war for his deluded brother. I mean, these brothers had once played together, but now his cousin had become so deluded that he was, you know, behaving like I've been quiet for a whole month. I've not spoken any words, so my brain is firing slowly. Plus, English is my second language, so I'm thinking thoughts in Sanskrit and Hindi, but a translation engine is a bit slow, so bear with me in this class. So, yeah, so I'll skip that word and just say that I think you get the point, that there is a teaching going on here for truth. But because we are a continuing entity, there is a chance that we can improve our karmic lot and our personality in the next birth. So therefore, there is a lot of beautiful teaching that's going on that is not based only upon our human body ending here and our existence ending here. You know, that kind of teaching is different. But then verse 26 onwards, you know, Krishna is so kind. You know, he's not pushy. This is the Vedic tradition is not a tradition of pundits pushing opinion on us, like saying this is it. You know, sometimes I feel sorry when the political reasons Hinduism is called fundamentalist. I think it's a very sorry situation, Because those of you who are reading the Bible of the Hindus can see how open it is. And on verse 26, Krishna will say to his student Arjuna, and just in case all the stuff I'm telling you about Atma and Brahman is too much, because I can totally understand that it's very hard to understand, here is another view. Just in case you think that you end where the body ends, here is some new teaching. So then he teaches based on a very, materialistic understanding of the being. And later he teaches on very worldly, social level. So there are all kinds of changes that are happening now in Bhagavad Gita. So we just have a few more verses of Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga is the highest teaching, the teaching that you are that fundamental being, the ground of all existence, your pure existence. You are Brahman, and when that pure existence lives inside you, you are Atman, and you are Nitya, eternal. You are Avinashi, indestructible. So we have gone through those 7 teachings, and I gave you some more teachings afterwards on it, so I'm planning to just move forward. But the point that I wanted to tell you was that you can enjoy all the changes and the persuasions that Krishna is giving via Arjuna to humanity, that you don't really have to meet me where I'm at. I can meet you where you're at, because you don't have to be sorrowful. And there are different solutions that you can find at your level. And as a student, depending on where you're at, and it doesn't depend on how long you've been with me, but where you are in your consciousness, really, that different logic of Gita will appeal to you. And you should let it sit with you and run through you. And keep bringing it back and saying, what does that mean? And that's going to help you. So let me begin with chanting Shloka 23 onwards. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kletyanta yapaha, na shoshayati marutaha. So in this shloka, if you go back to Shloka 22 that we had completed last time, Lord Krishna had given a very beautiful teaching that just as a person gives up worn clothes and puts on new ones, so also this Atma, yourself, at the time of death will give out a worn out body, and it will attain to a new one totally on its own free will, because it is Atman, because it is Brahman. And then he's in Shloka 23, Krishna, Lord, is continuing to explain the nature of this deathless being that Atma is, that you are. And he says, weapons, Shastra means weapon. Shastra means when you do a double A. Shastra means scripture, and Shastra means weapon. Okay? And it comes from the root word shas, from which you get shishya also. So, weapons do not cut this. Fire does not burn this. Water does not wet this. Air does not dry this. What is this? Your true self. What is weapons? Weapons here represents the element earth. So there are 5 elements. Some of you are Ayurveda students here. For some of you who are not, let me review that according to the Veda, and the same teaching is then developed in Vedic sciences like Ayurveda, Vedic astrology, Vastu. The 5 elements are the basis of the material nature of the world. So body is also material, food is also material. So anything that is tangible to the senses is made up of the 5 elements. And interestingly, we all die by one or the other element. Say you had a chemical imbalance, you had too many drugs, then fire killed you, you know. Say your lungs got filled up with water, emphysema, then water got you, you know. Say you dehydrated away, you were not eating, you were. There is a disease where people stop eating. One is bulimia and the other is
anorexia. Anorexia.
Anorexia. So say in anorexia, what is the element that is getting you? You might have to help me today, Aparna, with words. I promise my English will come back. So anorexia. Or a metal, you might, have an accident, or you might, hit a tree, or you might be cut by something. So either it is earth, or it is fire, or it is water, or it is air, which sustain us through food. All our life we eat them. And then when we choose to drop the body, then we use one of those elements to create a death. And then we leave. And the only element that never kills us is space, by the way. So that is why space is considered vibhu, or divine. So, and because it is very subtle, and self, or atma, is even subtler than space. So ordinary body, the body will go by earth, by fire, or water, or air. But this is a very clear statement, definitive statements, that none of these four elements can affect you, can affect Atma. None of them. They can only affect the outer container. So this is what it is saying. And then the next shloka, which let me chant to you. Achetyo yamadayo yam akletyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagata sthanu achalo yam sanatana. And then it's a continuation of shloka 23, because then it says this atma cannot be cut. How? By anything like a metal or a sword or anything using earth. Nor it can be burned. Why? How? By using fire or chemicals or drugs. It cannot be wetted, okay, by using water, by drowning, etc. It cannot be dried by using air. So therefore it is, so in this whole line, the first one, this atma cannot be cut, nor burnt, nor wetted, nor dried. The first line, achedyo yamadayo yam akledyo shoshya evacha. This whole line, where actually Lord Krishna is again summarizing what? That it is avinashi, it is indestructible. The true being in you is indestructible. In the second line, he says, it is nitya. What is nitya? Eternal. It is nitya. Sarvagataha. Sarvagataha means all-pervading. So then he says, sthanu. Sthanu means that which is stable, changeless, stable. The next word is achalaha. Achalaha means one that is firm. And sanatanaha means ancient. But let me just go back to this next line. Let's go back to 23. 23 says, weapons do not cut it, fire does not burn it, water does not wet it, air does not dry it. What is this it? It cannot be therefore cut, burnt, wetted, or dried. Why? Because, and then these words that, there's beauty in the verse also. So it's not random words thrown there like, oh, I'm summarizing the chapter on Jnana Yoga, so let me just remember whatever, nitya, mithya, this, that, and just throw it in like a garam masala. Oh yeah, nitya, oh sadhana, oh Avin. It's all very scientific. And I want to lead you into how it's so beautiful. So first word, most important, nitya. It is permanent. It is not impermanent. Like everything else, it is permanent internally. It is eternal. It is unchanging. And whatever is eternal cannot be in a small way, because whatever is small, then it's not somewhere else. So the next word, sarvagataha, it has to be all pervading. If yourself is nitya, then it has to be formless. It cannot be in form, because form cannot remain nitya, because it has an opposite. But formless, it is sarvagataha, so it is all pervading. So see how they are connected. And if it is all pervading, then only can it be stable from changes, thanu, stable. And then the next word is achala, firm. And you can say, why is Vyasacharya using same words? It just, what is stable? What is firm? They all look the same. But, have you seen a tree? And it's been very windy here in Bay Area all of last night and yesterday and this morning. And I can see some trees, and they're I have a redwood tree at the back, and it's in the neighbor's house, but it feels like it's in my house. And it's very stable at the root. So it's thanu, stable. But Atma is firm even on the top, because even though the redwood was stable down here, it was moving up here. But Atma is stable and firm. Nowhere, no movement. And because movement is a weakness, it's totally there. It need not move to prove anything, to reach anything, to grab anything. It's there. And it is Sanatana. Sanatana, I had given you the word ancient. It's true, it's ancient, but doesn't mean it's old. Sanatana can also mean ever fresh. It transcends time and space. There are some things that transcend time and space. Human romance doesn't transcend time and space, it changes. But the human compassion, there was never a time when it was not relevant. In the beginning of the relationship, in the middle, in the end, and even afterwards. Ahimsa, or non-violence. We cannot say, all those things worked at the time of Buddha and, when Krishna was teaching it. It's Sanatana. It is relevant. So Sanatana means that which is time-tested relevant. It's ancient, but it is relevant in the now. So it is Sanatana means it didn't become relevant just now. Atma and the knowledge of Atma, even this Gita, it is Sanatana, It has been taught just like I am teaching you word by word by teachers for 5,000 years of what we know. And we are kind of embarrassed to give out all these 5,000 numbers, but the latest historical, paleontological, linguistic evidence coming out of India is that its most ancient Saraswati civilizations were occurring 10 to 15,000 years ago, with swimming pools and changing rooms and all kinds of things. And the Vedas talk about airplanes and all those things. So, we can go by the Eurocentric timeline and everything just began, the world began some 2,000 something years ago. But if we are really true to what the Veda is saying, probably we've just been around in a circle. It's not a linear timeline at all. Think about that. Probably we're just on a very erroneous timeline, and probably we're just going around in circles, and each circle we're just emerging, hopefully, and not going the other way. But that's how it is. So the Veda goes back a whole bunch of circles. And so we just kind of conveniently say 5,000 years, but it's clearly older. because the civilization that we get to peak in the Mahabharata is a very advanced civilization using radars and using air missiles. And how could they even conceive it? If you go by history as taught in Western institutions worldwide, now in India too, by modern history, then probably 5,000 years ago we were in Copper Age or Stone Age. Then how could even human beings conceive of air technology and missiles and and all of those things, right? So Mahabharata is a very fascinating study of the knowledge and the science and the calculation of time and distance and all of that. So it's thought that relativity or let's see, gravity, blood circulation by Harvey was discovered. So what, 16th century, 17th century? Charak talks about operation of blood vessels and a whole deep map of blood, first century BCE. So the thing is, world got to know only what happened in Europe. World didn't get to know what happened in Egypt or China or India. And I'm not sitting here to talk about, there's no cosmic conspiracy here that I'm trying to tell you. I'm not trying to say Europeans are bad people, Indians are good people, because we don't know who's good, who's bad, because it all depends on what's their consciousness. And so Indians can be equally in Duryodhana state of consciousness or good state of consciousness. So we're not trying to say somebody's better or less. I'm just saying this is what happened. That probably currently we only know of a slice of what humans understood and know. And there is so much more knowledge. And you're just studying about India. Similarly, if you go into deep study of older cultures like China or Egypt, you would be aghast at what all they knew. So the point I'm trying to say is that when something is Sanatana, I'm not just talking about historical timeline, but I'm talking about a cosmic timeline, and I'm talking about a relevance in the cosmos then, today, and in the future. So therefore, your Atma is Nitya in this shloka. It is all-pervading. It is stable and firm. It is not ephemeral and changing like your body and mind. And it is Sanatana. So that is why I spoke a lot on the word Sanatana, because I wanted to tell you that the original word for Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. That dharma, that teaching, those values. Dharma means, in short, values, which make an animal consciousness human and a human consciousness divine. And the tool for that is dharma. And what are those dharmas? Not relevant for a bunch of people in first century BCE. There are Sanatana. So Sanatana Dharma is the name of the tradition whose holy book Bhagavad Gita you are studying. And this much you should know. Because after all, if you are eating the fruit of a tree, you should know where the tree is and what it is called and where it is planted. And that word Sanatana is very important. And in my own life, I have seen how I have wanted to move towards what is Sanatana. What is, in a given relationship, what can be upheld as Sanatana, and I give maximum attention to that, and whatever else can float past. Okay, so this is number 24. Now let us go to 25. Avayakto yamachintyo yam avikaryo yamauchyate tasmat devam viditvainam nanu shochitumarhasi. So in this shloka, he's talking about this is a kind of a winding up shloka, and avyakta, the word avyakta means that the Atman is, we had talked about aprameya, it is not perceptible to the senses. So it is avyakta, it is, so he's repeating that this Atman, the self, is imperceptible to the senses. You cannot use any of your senses to conceive it. And this becomes a huge issue because a lot of Vedic students of Vedanta, they start preparing themselves to meet Brahman in their heart, etc. And I'll talk about it, but it becomes a very big delusion because it's easy to conceive of something that is nitya and satyam and avinashi and all of those fine sounding words, a metaphysical, magical something, even inside them if their teacher says it's in their heart. But what they don't realize it, oh, she's talking about me. This is where it's like, no, but I'm so small, because the Veda says you're infinite, but you feel finite. And the Veda says you are bliss and you feel miserable. And the Veda feels you are fulfilled and you feel unfulfilled. So this is where you are. And so the whole teaching would be when you give yourself permission to say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. And I'm coming to the shloka, but I need to stop and tell you that. So it's like, the way I see it is, the way I imagine it is that I have a deposit of you all of us have a deposit of, you have, so I'll talk in you language, you have a huge deposit of cosmic gold in your own heart. And its radiance is shining out and it's falling everywhere. And so you want that radiance in Shunya. You want that radiance in, a cheesecake. You find that golden radiance in your lover. You find that radiance in a job. And so you go looking for it everywhere. Okay? And Vedanta is saying, knock, knock. You're looking in the wrong place. You're chasing a mirage. It's a phantom. It's not real. And that is why every time you thought you'll be happy, you were not, or not for long. Because it was a phantom. But I can take a hand, later. And those of you who started dropping those chases, you didn't stop not eating, or you didn't suddenly divorce your partner. You continued with your life, but you really dropped the crescendo and I must have and I should have and I could have and I need to do this, need to do that, I need to get that. I need a best friend, I need love, I need support, I need this wound fixed, I need this healing, I need this job, I need this credential, I need this endorsement, I must finish this and I must do that. When all of that calms down, so you're like, it's almost like they teach in yogasana, they teach this, you like just go inwards, like all your senses are like, I'm going, yeah, you don't know what you're looking inside, but you're not going to look outside anymore, because intellectually, the gold is not out there, the gold is in here. Even this understanding can make a big shift. And so you turn inwards, and the moment you stop being so distracted by everything else and everything calms down, your mirror becomes like your mind becomes like a clean mirror, and it reflects you your own inner bliss. So that's how some people get really happy while sitting in a hut in a few pieces of clothing. And there are some people driving around in a Rolls Royce ready to shoot themselves. So it's not the outside, but the inside. And it's And this is what we're trying to tell us. But then, we have to understand that in case we start saying, oh yeah, the gold is inside me and it looks like a golden biscuit and it has a copper aura, and then there is kundalini, and then there is, some blue light and red light, then you've gone into a spiritual delusion. You've created another level of reality. Because, we have talked about it, there are 3 levels of reality. And I might as well tell you again. There is the transactional reality in which we all share and we meet up. Then there are private realities that we each have in our own minds that we are thinking right now. There is a common world, there's a private world going on. And if there are 7 billion people, there are 7 billion private worlds. And that private world operates during daytime, when you think, when you daydream, when you fantasize, when you envision in your mind, and when you dream. So that's when the private world operates. And then there is a third world. It's the absolute plane, where you shall find there is nobody. No Shunya, no Vedika global, no death, no birth, no other people. There is only you. And that actually happens. So when you've been there and you come back and then you see all these people, you realize that this is just the one self dressed up in different clothings. Okay? But Veda has to tell you to reach that absolute level, that self. And how do you do it? You can only do it by going inside because it's closest to you. The self, yourself, also lives in the tree. In that redwood tree, myself lives. It also lives in each one of you. Same self. We discussed all this last time. Because I'm all pervading. I live in you too. But it's a bit inconvenient to figure myself out by getting inside you. Because I will interface with your mind, which is in between. So it's better for me to interface with my mind and sort out what is me and what is my mind. Bottom line. And in the process, we are being taught by Lord Krishna through a discourse apparently on life and death, but it's actually a discourse on permanence and impermanence, on nitya and anitya. And he is telling us, he is telling you, he is telling all the beings who are nothing but him in different dull and stupid clothing, dull or stupid clothing. When I use the word stupid, I mean stupid to our own bigness. We don't know, not because somebody else is stupid. So we don't know who we are. So we are in a stupid space. And so it's called Muda in Sanskrit. And so he's telling us that, by the way, to make sure that we don't give this Atma business a whole new spin, he's concluding his teachings by saying it is imperceptible to your eye. So don't, you'll do yourself a favor because it self-reveals itself, but it cannot, what will happen is that your little ego will, as if it was hot and dry and it just took a bath in a blissful swimming pool. That's how you'll feel, You won't actually see the bliss. You won't smell the bliss. You'll feel it. Okay? So one, it is imperceptible. And the word for that he is using is avyakta. It is unmanifest. The next word he says is achintayaha, inconceivable. So you can't even use so one senses can't figure it out. And don't even bother trying to conceive, my soul looks like Casper the ghost, something like that, by the mind or the intellect. They can only understand about it. They can point to it, but they can't actually grasp it. Don't make yourself an object because you are a subject. You are yourself watching the mind and intellect. The mind and intellect are being watched by you. So they cannot turn around and say, oh, you are watching. They are looking outwards. So I is, if you remember Drigdrishya Vivek teachings, I is looking at the apple, mind is looking at the eye. Self is looking at the mind, but the self is the only one that is not being looked at by anything. It is ever the subject, never the object. So therefore, the mind and intellect cannot turn around and conceive anything, any vidya, any teaching that says, oh, soul is like this, soul is like that, that we don't agree to, because we feel that that is just it is the same old problem of trying to objectify everything. I was reading the latest on consciousness research by MIT professors. I'm a bit weary of all these Ivy League professors of physics, quantum physics, and neurobiology jumping into consciousness. And then, trying to be the ultimate teachers on what Bhagavad Gita is saying. So he's saying that, but what they are really trying to say is that consciousness comes from chemicals in the brain. So anyway, so it's like, it's a disease of always trying to quantify, objectify, because all I see is matter. So all my truth has to come in matter, and this matter itself will at one time receive judgment. It's all matter, matter, matter. We just can't come out of it. But in the shloka, by my teaching you these 2 lines, I'm telling you that don't get caught there. And actually that is what Lord Krishna is now, after so many verses, again he's saying that it is inconceivable. It is achintayah. It is unconceivable. And it is avikar. Avikara means unchangeable. So therefore, having known this, do not grieve, and you can do your duty. You can go to war. This is what he's saying. If you go back and read from shloka 12 onwards, that is what he was saying, that do not grieve, because you are not really killing the person, because the person is Atma, and just you uphold truth. That is what he's ultimately trying to say. All right. Now let me go to shloka 26. Now in shloka 26, like I was mentioning earlier, Lord gives a hypothetical argument. He gives, it is known as abhupetyavada. You don't need to know this word, but it's a style of teaching. I also use it. We'll give a hypothetical situation. Okay, suppose this happened. Okay, suppose you think like that. So it's a teaching style, and it has been employed here. So I thought I would just point that out to you, because then it becomes interesting. The text, the teaching style, the way of persuasion. It's not just somebody declaring the ultimate truth. This is a guru and his compassion in trying to meet the shishyas, a genuine shishya, not a shishya who just likes to have some drama every few days. This is a genuine shishya who is genuinely submitted and said, I don't know, show me the way. Because we've done that in the first chapter, that Lord was not so forthcoming with his teaching, but it is only when he had confirmed that my time investment on that student to teach that student, and then one day they are gone, Oh, I thought, I don't need to complete the Bhagavad Gita. I got the first chapter, I'm good to go. It's not like that. The student is there from verse 1 to the verse last, through the 18 chapters. And nowadays, teacher is there, student is missing. So that is the interesting 21st century teacher-student situation. But anyway, so what happens is, here he is giving a materialistic point of view, and he says, Atha chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabhaho naivam shochitum arhasi. Mahabhaho means oh courageous one. So Mahabhava, we have been collecting the names of Arjuna that Lord says. There are different names. So he is using the name Mahabhava. Look at such beautiful names that the teacher is using for the student to ultimately encourage him, awaken him. You know, this whole message of the Gita is a very positive, very cheerful message. And it takes us away from this self-created well of sorrow that sometimes we drop in. And you know, sorrow comes both through choice-less situations and choiceful situations, where sometimes we have choice, but mostly we don't have choice. And he talks, it's coming up, but he talks about how we can employ choice in a choiceless situation also, and you know, and choose not to remain stuck in sorrow. So in this one, like Shloka 26, as you see that the argument has changed a little bit, and he will say now, however, so this is the word, athacha. Athacha means however. So this is how the teacher is changing. If you consider this Atma, if you consider this soul to be born and to be dying, like, you know, that is what most times we think. Oh, the soul has come, the soul has dead. The soul is alive, the soul is dead. You know, person as an entity was and was not. Completely like disappeared, okay? Then also you should not grieve like this. So he is now saying then also, and then in the next Shloka 27 he will explain. So this is highlighting the beautiful Upanishadic approach of never imposing the teaching on anyone. It is a very clean sharing that, look, those were some ideas, here are some other ideas, here are some other ideas, so that the person can be truly benefited. Okay. After all, later we will see, because Krishna will say that, you know, it's totally understandable if you don't understand the concept of self and don't accept it, or you accept it but it doesn't kind of, you know, light up all the bulbs in you, because it's hard. You know, if we are saying it's aprameya, you can't see it through your senses. We are saying it's achintaya, you can't know it through your mind and intellect. We're giving so many restrictions on knowing it. And rather, the only way we teach is it is not this, it is not this, it is not this, it is not the body, it is not the mind. So it's understandable and it is hard. On top of that, there are other systems which do not accept that there is an Atma. Buddhism is one of them. It says there is no Atma. Then there was Charvak. Charvak said there is no Atma. Body is, this is the entity. And so I have this body. And so Charvak was one of the very loud proponent who sounds like a modern day, modern educated person who says, look, there is no punyam, there is no merit or karma or anything, so I can lead this is all just scaring me and forcing me into behaviors, and so I am just going to enjoy myself. So it was an enjoyment, hedonistic, pleasure-based, irresponsible. What was that song? I wanna break free. Do you remember that? I know that song because my son used to say, I wanna break free from any rules, like it's 8 p.m., go to bed. I wanna break free. So that was Charvak philosophy. You know, there is no God, there is no, this temporary body is Atma, this is life, this is everything, and with this I end, and that's it. So don't give me any teaching, I'm not interested. So it was a very clear and out exposition. And actually, one of my personal goals is to go back. No, I not go back. I have actually never originally read the original shlokas, but I would like to go and investigate that. And if nothing else, it will help me understand a stage of evolution of humanity. When we become youth, when we become teenagers, when we become rebels, then we go into that mode, just me, this body, and that's it. So anyway, Lord Krishna is not using the word charvak here. He didn't say anything. There are totally valid philosophies that might convince us that there is no self. Okay? Not all branches of Buddhism, but one branch is very clear, there is no self. So therefore, and these are valid, respected traditions. So just in case one of you belongs to, has a, you may not, I don't know, belong or not, but you may have a question mark around is there self at this point. Nobody is forcing you to say, no, there is only, okay, look here, there is an Atma, this, that. We're saying, okay, fine. Then let us talk to you in a different way. Let us consider this body as the ultimate. Okay. Now, how are you going to deal with it? Okay. So then he says, Jatasya hi dhruvo. I was using Dhruva's name, my son's name, and it's coming up in the next shloka, interestingly. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmada pariharyarthe natam shochitum arhasi natam shochitum arhasi jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmada pariharyarthe natam shochitum arhasi. Dhruva means that which is firm and stable, that which is fixed. It is the name of Vishnu. It is the name of Vishnu, Shiva, and Mahesh and Brahma put together. It is the name. Dhruva also means Ishvara. The North Star is also called Dhruva because it is the only stationary star while everything moves around it. So Dhruva is not just a name. Dhruva is a concept. But here it is being used more in terms of something that's like a spiritual law. It's the law of Ishvara. It is fixed. It's something, and he's not using Ishvara here, but you can just say it's fixed. Like you can, whether there is a higher authority or not, right? Because here Lord Krishna has conceded that we don't have to go into any deeper contemplations. We can just stay at the body level. And then what are we saying here? And so here he says, death is certain, dhruva, fixed, for one who is born. And birth is certain for one who is dead. Therefore, you should not grieve over this inevitable fact. So this is very interesting. One, I had explained the difference between the approach of other spiritual traditions and the Sanatana Dharma or the Hindu tradition, where we do not believe that death is the end of the being. We believe that everything is cycling. Time is cycling, energy and matter is cycling. Everything is like cycling. So what he's saying is that, look, learn to accept this fact, learn to assimilate it, that whatever emerges is going to de-emerge, just because so growing up, spiritual growing up is accepting that something will come and it will go. So it won't just change because you close your eyes and you stomp your feet and you say, I won't accept it. And he says that, we can use 3 ways of confirming this. You can use Pratyaksha Pramana or your own perception. And you can see that whatever is a product of some things coming together, it always comes to an end. So the body is the coming together of Panchabhutas, and then the Panchabhutas go back. So they come together temporarily, they weave a body, and then they go back into the bigger body of the universe. And so it was not a permanent entity, it was a borrowed creation, this body. And so your loved one's body is here in the Panchamahabhutas. It's in every flower, it's in every bee, because it has gone back. So, so because it was not an original existence. If you remember in my class on Satyam Mithya, I talked about original and borrowed existence, independent and dependent existence. So body, we can see that it is made up of Panchamahabhutas. And if you look at anything, and then you are asked by the teacher to look at everything else that is made of Panchamahabhutas, I have these beautiful marigolds right here on my desk, and they are, they came in yesterday, they have bloomed, they were buds, they have bloomed, and then they will disappear, then they will become carbon will become something else. So they keep, circulating. So this is by perception. A body made up of borrowed 5 elements. Then inference, that's the next mode of knowing. The scriptures also, our Vedic scriptures also confirm that the body that you or your loved one has, including your pet, and we studied this in Tattva, the body will stay together, will be formed, stay together based on karmas. And the day its need to undergo certain karmas is over, that body was taken on only to experience sukha, dukkha, joy and sorrow karmically for that much time. And that moment that quota of karma bhoga is over, then not even Yama, the god of death, can extend your life, because karmas itself take on the body. You are nothing but your living, breathing karma. And your karma decided, you feel so, oh, I should have done this, could haves and the would haves. But what is in your hand? I mean, you were decided what sex, what body, which family, whether your parents will love you or abandon you, will they, or they may be there for you, but they fight amongst each other, so they hurt you, or in goodwill, they may send you to a hostel or a school where you got sexually abused. Who knows? Everything is karmic. So we sit around and get wounded forever. Or we say, oh, this could have happened, that could have happened. But it is your own scripts, your own karma. And right now, your karmas have determined you will be in this class. And you will be with a teacher. So it's all karmic orchestration. So this body also is on karma cash. And the moment in the wallet, the karma cash ends, whoosh, the body goes. Some bodies have such a short karma cash, they come in the womb exactly for 9 months, and at birth they are dead. Because they only had to experience the universe in that womb. Now please understand, you think there is only one universe, but the ant lives in another universe in the same universe. The little fungus has another universe in this universe. The baby in the womb has another universe in this universe. So the same one objective universe can give people billions of universes to experience sukha dukkha, and it's all based on karma. And karma again is not by somebody pushing it on us. It's based on what you have created to learn and outgrow. So even your mother who abandoned you, or your father who sexually abused you, I'm speaking slightly, apologize, I'm speaking extreme things, they don't always happen. Or you lost your child, or you were just holding your fresh child and it passed away. Or you were raising a child and like my father lost his 30-year-old daughter, my sister. These things are all sukha dukkha, sorrow joy. And how you will experience it? Through this interface. So this body has been brought together by karma, right down to the kind of nose, right down to the kind of neck, right down to the kind of joints, sukha dukkha. So when the karma will end, body will end. Simple. Okay. Another thing, so, and karma doesn't need God here. I just taught it to you slightly more theistic way. Karma is cause and effect. It's clear that this body has come for certain purposes. If you just take away God from it, that if you just say materialistic, perspective, even that baby for 9 months in the womb had some cause and effect reason to be there. There is nothing random in this universe, nothing. You can sit around and feel sorry for yourself that everything went wrong in your life. Everything actually was brilliant. Okay. And then the third inference, the third one. So one is direct perception, proof that what is born will die. Another is inference, cause and effect. Some purpose is met, it ends. The third one is that scriptures. So it is saying that depending on whether the person wants to believe only in matter, 5 elements, then he has given that argument. The person may be slightly more open, so he gives the argument of karma. Okay. And then the person may be even more open, so then he says that the karmic theory comes from scripture. So he says the scriptures are telling us about karma, that you come because of karma. And and in terms of inference, we can look that everywhere everything is dying. Okay, so three proofs: accept, grow up, accept whatever is born shall die, whatever is dead shall be born. There is a movement going on. And how? By my direct perception, I can see that. By my inference, I can see Panchamahabhutas, and by scripture, I can understand the law of karma operating here. So therefore, dhruvam janma mritasya cha, death is fixed, but the other side of the coin is birth. So this is different. If you have a different religion and you believe that, no, death is the end of the being, then I will give you some more persuasion of probably the Vedic view that there is no permanent end. There is nothing permanently emerging, and there is nothing permanently destroying. Okay. So, and that argument I'll just give you. So he says, tasmat pariharyarthe. Parihar means, can we fix it? Is there some solution for it? Parihar. Sometimes people go to an astrologer and say, my Mars is acting up, so I'm losing my temper. So can you give me some parihar? Can you give me some solution? So the person might say, okay, don't eat salt. It can increase your pitta dosha. So these are kind of parihars. So he's saying that this is this is not a situation where there is any parihar. There is no, you can't just stand up and say, no, I don't agree. Because you are a limited being at this point. You have not awakened to who you are, Brahman. You are a limited being. If you go to Disneyland, you have to follow Disneyland rules. If you go to Las Vegas and you go into one of those casinos, you have to follow their rules. If you go to Olympics, you have to follow their rules. If you have come to this loka is called, this universe is called Mrityu Loka, the loka of death, where everything ends. Death here means impermanence. Then you have to accept that there is impermanence. It's just what it is. So it's called a fool's anger or a fool's grief. That same word, stupid, comes up again, but in Sanskrit it sounds better, which means muda. So it's like it's a fool's anger to say no, and we have freedom. We can stay where we want, or we can feel the pain of loss, but we can slowly bring understanding with it. Okay. So if you think about it, bulk of our life is choiceless. Sorry to tell you that. There is some choice, tiny choice available, but think about it. I just mentioned, everything. Your life situation, the way your parents dealt with you, the way deaths that you have dealt with, the way your body is, the way certain diseases are there, whether you got, even like my being an Acharya is really choiceless. It's not like I chose to be born in Baba's home, then I didn't choose to be given knowledge by him. It's like we're all like, this is what I mean again by a divine theater. And the more we can question it or we can enjoy it, we depersonalize it and we understand that, wow, so if I had a really difficult parent, or if I had a missing parent, or if I had an abusive parent, or if I had a extra nice parent, like in my case, like father, it's like, okay, this is all choiceless. My only choice is in understanding that something is choiceless. So my understanding is my weapon. I've been writing, and I wrote about, I was 9, and at age 9 I faced 3 deaths up close and personal in my home within 2 years, and one of them was my mother. So the 3 people who died were my caregivers. So, and then 18 years later my only sibling died, and then a whole happy family was reduced to 2 people. So now it's choiceless. But when I use this knowledge, I understand that each one of that death was part of a bigger eternal truth. And it was their Atma was done with being my mother and my favorite uncle and with whom I played cricket, or, with my aunt who fed me after school. They were done being that for me, but they are still in me because I am them at the inner level. So it's a deeper teaching, and I'm not going there right now, but I'm just trying to tell you that this is so beautiful that Bhagavad Gita would put it out there and say, yep, there's stuff, there's choiceless. Are you going to grow up? Because once you accept a choiceless, then you have the choice to open the door to Brahman and find everybody there. But if you stay in that very specific state of being mourning that one body, then you can stay there and you would never open the door to the truth. And then all your sorrow will evaporate. And I'm not even talking about meeting my mother as a ghost. I'm talking about knowing the deathless being here. So, and my mother was not perfect, or my uncle was not perfect, and they had their limitations. And I'm sure if they had stayed up, if they had stayed alive, I would be having some arguments with them by now, as it's popular to have arguments with your parents. I just don't have a mother to have an argument with, so I can kind of glamorize her at this point. But the point is, that's how we live at the human level. And that's the transactional level, and there we can bring in dharma to clean it up. But here we're dealing with absolute truth. And at the absolute truth level, it's dhruva, it is fixed. And we're agreeing that whatever is dead is going to recirculate back. Okay, so now I go on to Shloka 28. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktam adhyani bharata Avyaktani dhananyava tatra ka paridevana. So here he is saying, so not only do we accept the choiceless, but please understand that all beings, the bodies that we are so attached to, they are You can't see their bodies in the beginning. We don't know where they were before they came. We don't know where that body will be after that body is destroyed. We just see them in the middle. So the shloka says, "Oh Arjuna," Arjuna is the name of the student, "all beings are unmanifest in the beginning, they are manifest in the middle, and they are unmanifest again in the end. So do not grieve over them." So, like I said, neither total creation exists, neither total destruction. It's a cycle. So nothing is totally created, nothing is totally destroyed. Now, even matter keeps changing to energy, energy keeps changing to matter. And, today is dying and tomorrow is being born, and then tomorrow is dying and then the next day is being born, So one thought is dying and then it gives birth to a new thought. So then one thought ends, then a new thought begins. So if you look at it, there is a beautiful poetry of death and birth everywhere. So if you look at that bigger level, then this present moment is manifest right now, but yesterday is unmanifest for me and you, and future is also unmanifest. All we have really is this present moment, and what we were a moment ago has become unmanifest, and what we were a body ago is unmanifest, and what we will be a body later is unmanifest. We just show up for this little tiny, like bim, like a little beam of light. We suddenly, it's like all dark, 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 and suddenly, like, a beam of light, a cosmic beam of light, and you appear, and you do this dance and drama and sob and cry and have a breakdown and have desires and ambitions and goals, and then boom, you're out of that spotlight. But that is, out doesn't mean end. You come back, new costume. You come back, new costume. And each circle is a wiser, better. You may try your worst to be the worst possible person, but even in that, there is some subtle learning because you're all the self. So this cycling is really the self saying, "Come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me." See, it's coming. Or you're cycling and then you meet your guru. You find Vedanta. And then you probably just meet right away. You don't have to cycle again. This is called the end of birth and death wheel. Or you just take one or two more cycles and you're done. This is moksha. But otherwise, if you were not to study Vedanta, if you were not to do inner work, if you were not to take responsibility, if you were not, you're already karmically fortunate to be receiving Vedanta. So you're already been, your cycle has already taken a lot of designer shape. So it could go in a spiral pretty fast. And when you meet this Brahman fullness, you don't meet something, like I said, but you become Brahman, and then you live in the same world, but completely different, completely free of sorrow, blissful, powerful, compassionate, and you have freedom, whether you want to come back or not. Right now, you don't have freedom. This is called bondage. So therefore, there is continuation, nothing is ending. You can't remove a millimeter of water out of this universe. Water will become steam. Steam will come back as raindrops. You can't remove anything. How can you remove a whole being that you loved who is dead now? How can you? On top of that, that being has Atma in it. So therefore, has such a leftover human being. If you are the family member and you are studying Vedanta, then it's very good because you are connected. That's very good. So therefore, it is saying very simply, very powerfully, it said, look, there is a very short period when things become manifest. And so don't grab onto that and begin grieving. Let them do their cycle. Let them do their cycle, is what they're saying. And finally, the tone changes of the verse. I'm remembering the Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. No, remember, let me remember I remember. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tatheva chanyaha. Ascharyavat chaina manyaha shrunoti. Shrutvapyenam vedana chaiva kaschita. Beautiful. So this is verse 29. And it's an amazing verse, actually. You'll feel really good about studying Advaita. So he says, somewhere, he'll say it is a secret. These teachings are secrets. I also often say these are teachings are secret, but they are open secrets, Bhagavad Gita is available everywhere. Discourses are happening everywhere. I am also writing in my book, oh, let me bring you the secrets. Here, have them. What is this? It's like, what kind of secret is this? So the word that Krishna uses is ascharya. Ascharya means amazement, wonder. And he says, look. So he's closing and he's saying, look, I've given you all these arguments and I totally understand if you don't, follow what I'm saying because on Vedanta, because he says, the one who sees this Atma, who sees it as in who conceived of it, who thought of it, who could see it not using the mind and senses, but who could imagine that in this impermanence there is permanence, because there has to be an observer of the impermanence. It cannot be, both cannot move at the same time. If there is impermanence, there is a permanence. If there is movement, there is stillness. So one who saw the possibility of Atma is a wonder, ascharya. Pashyati, ascharyavat pashyati. So he was a wonder. So he's talking about the rishis, or himself. Then, and the one who speaks about it, the guru, the teacher, ascharya, what a wonder, amazement. And the one who hears it, it's falling on your ears, you are also a wonder. Yes. Why you are being called amazement, wonder, I'll tell you. This is very interesting. See, what happens is that, I told you, right, the gold is here, but it's radiating, it's falling outside me because it's shining from here outside. So my senses see the shine and they go outwards. So we have been spending so much time finding our three basic things, happiness, fulfillment, and security. These three basic things outside. Okay. But Vedanta says that actually the meaning of Brahman and Atman is happiness, fulfillment, and security. So it is a treasure. All three things lie in you, but we have spent so much time figuring out relationships, reading books, getting degrees, going to this class, that class, going to doing even, deity worship. I'm not trying to put down deity worship in Sanatana Dharma. It's a very valid part of it, but we have been asking, let's just say that, please give me security, Ma Durga. And I'm a devotee of Ma Durga. But the point I'm saying is that many times, in my case and your case, Ma Durga may be extra nice to us, but a lot of the people, they go to temple, they go to church, they go to wherever is their religious institute, and they come away empty. Not because God doesn't want to help, but there is a Vedanta saying is that you are God. And God is your higher energy. You are tapping. So it's good to go to the temple. Vedanta says it's good to worship God. Please stick with your religion. Why? Because whenever you remember something higher, at least you don't remain boxed in your small, tiny, helpless space. So all of that is very instrumental and useful. And we've been talking about Bhakti Yoga. But it's all inside. And we spend so much time. And then the story, I have told you this before also, but I'll tell again now, that somebody had lost a ring. And they were looking, they were taking a bath in a pond, and he lost his ring, and he said, I will look for the ring here. So helpful people came there. They were probably studying more dharma, and they said, I'll help you. One person came to, they were all looking for the ring, and by the time the pond was full, small pond full of 50, 60 helpful souls all looking for the ring right there. Then one person came and he said, what are you looking for? I said, ring. Where did you drop it? He said, no, I didn't drop it here. I dropped it in that pond. Now, why are you looking here? Oh, because there is better lighting here. So this is shining more. So I'm looking here. So then the person says, this is the guru. He says, Are Baba, look there. This is the teaching. Is you cannot hope to find a ring in where what is shining is not all gold. It's inside you. So, but the thing is, by the time somebody comes and genuinely tells us, and we generally, some button we can hear and hear and hear, but one day we really hear it. I'm looking outside me. And even it's unbelievable that this pathetic me, depressed me, person on painkiller, person on high BP medicine maybe, person on diabetic medicine maybe, person with some broken, wounds and abuse and trauma stories and all. I am having all that. At least if you just agree to that level, then Vedanta says it's a wonder. Because then and then we can, when I do Q&A, so many students will say, I was looking outside me for fulfillment. I was looking for completion outside. And then I stopped looking at my parents. I stopped looking at my spouse. I'm with them. I'm serving them. But stop asking. I'm not needy. I'm not a beggar anymore. In my own case, after my father and grandfather gave me a lot of love, it was time for me to get love from my partner. And I went through 2 partners because I couldn't get it. Well, I went through 1 and then I'm with the second, to be technically correct. But the thing is that how can they give? Because they are also chasing the golden orb outside. So they are also beggars. So how can beggars give beggars? But I had studied from Baba, so I said at some point I better stop looking. And I started experimenting with, what if I am Brahman? Oh my God. What if I am enough? What if I am fulfilled? What if I am nothing but a whole infinite treasure of love? And then you know what I did? I started flowing love. That impoverished being who thought she needed love, I was not impoverished for long, by the way. But if I had this delusion for a little bit, because a new relationship can throw you off, and that is what romantic love is all about, I started flowing love. Flowing love towards my partner, flowing love towards my former partner, flowing love towards my son, flowing love towards my enemies, flowing love towards my critics, flowing love towards my students who are with me, helping, being a pillar of the lineage, and flowing love even towards the students who try to destroy the pillars because of their moods and their confusion, not because anybody is evil. Okay? You just flow love. And what is love? Love is total acceptance. That doesn't mean that I will not correct Govind if he is being goofy. That's the only word I can think for this sweet boy. I will correct him. Enough goofiness. Become serious now. I can correct him. But when he is being goofy, I don't have to abandon him, reject him, and get my ego all involved. And suppose he is so goofy that one day he just goofs out on us. Okay? Okay. May he circle back. He will circle back. He was about to circle in. He spiraled in. Now he has spiraled out. No problem. But I can still give acceptance. So I started accepting people for their self. And I started understanding that they are all dealing with ignorance. They're sleepwalkers. Stop taking it personally. And as I flowed love, I became your Acharya. Now I get so much love From people and situations, unexpected love, unexpected support, unexpected words from the very people who were once my so-called critics. So what happens is that what I'm teaching you, I'm living, first of all. So first see what a wonder. Okay. First, who saw? You get to study those scriptures word by word. I mean, there you are lost, looking in the tank in which you had not lost your ring, trying to find it. And now suddenly Vedanta comes to you. And amazing that somehow in this whole world of sleepwalkers, there were these 10 rishis who figured out that that's not where our fulfillment, security, and happiness lies. And then there are people to tell you that, I'm not teaching you because at the end of this class or the end of my lifetime with Vedic, I'll collect a check. And here, Acharya, amazement. Brahman has turned around and put this human being, this body, to talk to me. Brahman is talking. And Acharya, that I am listening. I who was fooled, manipulated, confused, I am being told the truth and being set free. Acharya, amazement. Where my karmas have brought me. What cycle have I come into? And then Lord is humorous and says, and equally Acharya, that in spite of listening to all of this, in spite of being connected to rishis through the scripture, in spite of having a living guru who is not teaching you for money, in spite of your ears being here and your body and your being cooperating to bring you into the direct association of a living teacher and lineage, you don't understand. And you start looking for Atman as a thing, as an object, and you don't live that bigness. That too is Acharya, that many beings, despite having all of this, do not get it. And that too is a wonderment that only the completion knows why. Because maybe this cycle you were only meant to hear, not benefit. Who knows? But there are students who can stay for a long time and remain sorrowful. There are students who will come and change. And there are students who will stay stuck. So he says, all of this is a wonderment on what mathematics, what algorithm, what soul theatricals this is happening, we don't know. So I don't know. For me, it is an Acharya that I was given a guru like Baba. It is amazing. And it is amazing that for me, everything is amazing, including the part where I didn't understand it, and now I do understand it. So I've gone through both periods. I never not completely understood it, but I took my time to fully internalize it. But I do have students who don't get it. And I do have students who get it. And so for Lord Krishna to say that, he's not being dismissive, pointed. He's saying, leave it on the wonderment in case you don't get it. Leave it on a greater reason in case you don't get it. Because we are, after all, just this, look at the stage, the theatricals. And how did you choose to have a teacher like me telling you this ultimate truth and stripping apart the Bhagavad Gita and making your small self big in that moment, right now? You didn't know. But this is, if somebody has brought you to this level, then one day the understanding will also become yours. So actually this is a bhakti-based teaching, right? This shloka which is saying, Acharya. I don't know how. Because even in my case, how I came, I don't know. Why I am with Baba, I don't know. Although Bhagavad Gita has some shlokas around, it says that when you become very serious about your study, you get united to your teacher. You get united with a teacher to continue the education that you had started in your last lifetime. I'm quoting it in the book. It will be coming up for you also to study. So if you're very serious, we talked about it last time, your causal body will take all these classes. Your Vedanta classes will go with you into your next life, and there you will be. Now the last shloka. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natam shochitumarhasi. So he says, this is just the last shloka, and here Jnana Yoga teaching or spiritual teachings are ending for now, temporarily. And and from there onwards, he's going to give about 10 shlokas on, like, to the common person, how to talk to the common man. So, and after that, he will be talking about karma yoga. So, so he says this Atma is Nitya, and it is divisionless, avadhya, and it is all-pervading. And knowing this, you should not grieve. So this is the ending of his teaching and my teaching for you. For tonight. Okay. Jai Ma, everyone. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om